I'm sure of that. And that is how maximally a citizen should be seen to love his country. In the absence of love, identified as the most powerful thing in life, everywhere on earth will be nothing other than evil. And when devil dwells all over, nothing will remain, destruction and total annihilation. Our assemblage here is just for one word: love for this country. The fact that an individual has taken time and trouble to be here, from whichever distance, far and near, in itself is extremely complimentary. So I say to the entire gathering here that God bless you and God will energize you to continue to have the vision as we saw in the clip, and we hope that will push us into taking giant strides.
Me, I feel die for Nigeria. That's why they do through Nigerians. As now to love Nigeria, to support the nation, to be patriotic. That's the only way forward. The rest suffer will kill us.
If you add it up all together, 1960 to 1979, just 19 years. Unfortunately, every other administration that came after that and through to this moment is hovering around that cycle called 19. And we should get this right, because when you have patriots assembled together and ready to take giant strides to make meaningful activities in the life of their country, particularly what does deal of living legacies for the younger ones, what they must know is the truth about the position of that country. We shouldn't get ourselves afraid to speak the truth. After all, nobody can erase history. What has happened yesterday is fully documented. The only issue here is people who indulge into erasing B and adding C to suit personal interests, greed. Now let me prove to us that this 19 years was what we repeated between 1979 to 1999 in a different fashion. In 1979 to 1984, January 1st, Shagari came with the spirit of yesterday's NPN and the NPP or NCNC. They operated in the same manner. It was a reassemblage of friends, of brothers and sisters and political associates. And then, just like it happened in the First Republic, President Zik was removed by General Ironsi from Northeast, Southeast, President then, and a general from Southeast. And so in Shagari's case, from Northwest, and General Buhari then from Northwest removed him. And the same class and the same approach of governance was what repeated itself. When General Buhari then, as head of state, was there, he served for 1 year, 6 months. Ironsi served 6 months. Ironsi was removed by General Gawan from North Central. And then also when another cycle came, General Babangida removed General Buhari from the same North Central. In that, the first 19 years, General Gawan spent 9 years, and nobody spent as much time from North Central. Also in the second line, General Babangida spent 8 years, and nobody spent as much as it is. The pattern of administration by General Gawan was the pattern of administration of General Babangida. The same associates, the same approach, the same issues of transition to Gawan was the same issue of transition to General Babangida. Then Murtala came from Kano, took over from General Gawan from Kano State. In the second cycle also, even though there was an arrangement of ING, it was short-lived 3 months because there was no foundation laid for it in the first 19 years. General Abacha, just like Murtala from Kano. And Murtala came, and this is the emphasis I'm going to make so that we can shorten our time. Murtala from Kano State, Northwest, came to Ogun State and picked General Obasanjo. General Abacha from Kano State came to Ogun State and picked Oladipo Dia. That's the second cycle. And pattern of administration was the same. If Murtala had lived longer than the 6 months he has had, he was to be hated, or even more than that of General Abacha. And that's the truth about the country. Let's look at the third layer so that we can now conclude and we can dwell on what I believe are my messages to be delivered. The first layer started with an Igbo man, President Ironsi. The second layer of 19 years started with a Hausa man, Shagari, from Northwest. And the third layer, this is where we are. It started with a Yoruba man, President Obasanjo. It is not by sheer coincidence. No. Time, events, and destiny are rolling, and we are acting. It's left for us to seize control and now know that positive thinking and action are what is required of citizenry. President Obasanjo has had his tenure in full, unlike the first two, because we're in a new era and season where democracy has permeated. The second layer was President Yar'Adua from Katsina. Just if you look at the above cycle, just like Buhari from Katsina, just like Ironsi in terms of pattern of administration. Look at this trend. General Ironsi had 6 months. In the second layer, President Buhari had 1.5 years. But in the third layer, because it is progressive, the third layer had who? President Yar'Adua with 3 years. And it's not by coincidence. In his own case, it was nature that took him away. The one with longest time was or is General Obasanjo or President Obasanjo. But if you look at the pattern of administration, of the circumstances that brought them to power, is similar to that of Gowon, is similar to that of Babangida, just as Jonathan has had it. General Gowon from minority, head of state. Babangida from minority, head of state. President Jonathan from minority, president. Then after him, here we are. Look at this irony. Under this column, today's dispensation is that of President or General Murtala, then General Abacha. Today, President Buhari from Northwest, Katsina State. He also, like Murtala and like Abacha, came to the same Ogun State and picked Professor Yomi Osinbajo. Whether this was coincidence or not, so when we sit down to look at who we were, who we are, and who we should be seen to be, we should also understand that nature has rules that it is playing upon us. The test of man, man's desire, his ambition, being complemented by destiny, that is events by nature, are the forces propelling this country. Yes, there were mistakes. Yes, in the course of these mistakes, patriotism has been buried, in my assessment. Patriots are no longer nobody because they do not have naira in their pockets. And those who decided to become naira guzzling machine in Nigeria are the ones to be supported, to be complimented, because that's the only way out. The truth today is that when you look at the journey thus far, and you look at every single administration, from the genesis that brought every government to power, how this government fared if you give an honest and sincere evaluation of thinking, of planning, of sweats that are real, or on the other side of greed and stealing and exploiting the people and the causes for the exit of every of this administration, we are going to have a clearer picture and far away from some of the documented parts that we call our history. Events undocumented are what patriots require to be able to look at Nigeria and understand where our problem started.
I love my country, no be lie. It's not about no be say person comfortable or anything. He go take the drum. I love my country. I dey see say my country still get something wey we suppose do. Na im dey drive wetin we don start today.
Today, I must not skip one thing. 13 February 2016. One key thing to remember is Murtala Mohammed. He's 40 years today, and I think he exemplified what leadership was all about when Nigeria was in dire need. So we pay tribute to him. As DKK has gathered us here, I'm planning to instill into us that reignition or ignition key that will reignite the patriotism in us so that we will love this country.
For me, it's about Nigerians. So as long as we are all together as a team, we'll make it happen.
All una young people where they come up, I feel sorry for una. You know, when me I they grow up, I enjoy Nigeria well. That's why me I love Nigeria. Some of you now, if we can't ask you, say how you love this country, you go say to hell with this country. I beg una. What you una fit do be say, make you no expect say country go give you anything. Make you go out there, create something. Make una make magic, make job for yourself. Job where nobody don't think of before. Bring them about.
If we can remember, it was also around that same time the worst volcanic eruption in that area hit Japan. There was also an earthquake after that, if we can remember. But Japan was more or less gone. But Japanese came, looked inwards, and said, we have all it takes to keep Japan intact, to keep our culture and our history. So left for us by our forefathers. If we allow Japan in ruins because we don't have oil, we don't have solid minerals, we don't have any natural resources to show or to sell to make means in keeping the country intact. What Japanese leadership and the entire people could see at that material time was nothing but hopelessness. Japan began to look inward, and they discovered energy therefrom. And I will give tiny example with one sector, shipbuilding. The most valuable ships that takes oil around the whole world is the 50-tonner ship. Look at it. With that difficulty, Chinese discovered that it took America 16 months to build a 50-tonner ship. On the other hand, one of the best shipbuilding industry is in Spain. It takes Spain 24 months to build one. But when Japanese came with that zeal, with the pains that hit them from nature and from political threat that came or attack from US, they today were known to be the best shipbuilders. Not only that, it takes Japan only 6-8 months to build one, and is considered to be the most rugged, the safest, and the best. Out of nothing. Japan had nothing, but look at it today. You cannot talk about the world economy without Japan. They didn't look at the flag. They didn't look at themselves. They didn't look at the problem. They looked at the genesis, and they addressed the genesis. And there is a spirit in Japan called the spirit of unison. They get themselves united with concerted effort on a particular issue until that thing is done. We need to draw lessons here from. We can do it. In Nigeria's case, we have a different background. It is much more better for us. This country is very rich. But the Naira making machine in Nigeria, most unfortunately, when they still, and still, that is the time the toss starts. This is very strange. And when they still and still, they know how to invest into areas that instill the love of this country, and so they take control therefrom. One, you cannot use the medium that will educate people to attack them, and in telling them that they are wrong, or educate them, or get them reoriented or readjusted for a refocus. You can't do that because they have already invested in that. And this has been on over so many years. This has brought Nigeria thus far. I think as patriots, who love the truth, who love their country, we should know that the roles we should play is that of supporting institutions to stand on their own. We have some of the best laws, better than G8 countries. Many. We have best brains in this country. We have best in terms of every single sector. And let me prove one tiny little thing, a contribution I made when I was a small boy, and it was not ignored. When we were looking for speedy